have power. I know everything tells you you don't. The media, the police, the bosses, the teacher, the mirror, they say you can't control anything. Say that the history haunting you or the system shackled around your ankles or the trauma noose tight around your neck should direct your every step. But I need to tell you, they're wrong. You can make each moment a rebellion. And I dare you dance or you laugh at every chance. Trust in advance, smile at first glance. You can shatter, y'all got me heated up in here. You can shatter trauma with truth-telling. Shatter systems with sincerity. You can change the world. You simply have to fight. 3, we matter. Trade your mirror in for a window and see the beauty we all have to offer. 4, you are not finished. Who you are now is not who you will be. You are growing in God's garden among us, and in time, we all bloom. In time, we all bloom. And soon you will bloom brave, petals soft and passionate colors, vibrant. You will be so spectacular, even God stops to smell. 5, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Thank you. All right, please welcome up Kaizen Kabir. Give him the love. See, I'm gonna say your real name, you almost got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. How y'all doing? Ooh, can I get a better introduction, Nick? Hold on. How y'all doing? Okay, my name is Kamasi Mack, but I go by Kaizen Kabir. It's my artist name. I'm from Muskegon. I was raised out of Twin Lake. I went to Whitehall. I went to Muskegon. I moved around a lot as a kid, so I went to a lot of different schools. A little about myself. I grew up in a single-parent home. I didn't meet my father, my biological father, until I was 27. But before I met my father, I remember as a child, my father used to always call me on the phone. He used to send me gifts and all that stuff. And then around the age 11 or 12, my mother ended up getting married. So once my mom got married, the phone calls kind of stopped. The gifts kind of stopped. So I became angry. And I felt bad. I felt like my dad abandoned me because I felt like dad was mad because mom moved on. So I started getting in trouble at school. I started smoking, started doing drugs, and getting into all kind of trouble. And I really didn't have nobody I can talk to about my issues and what I was dealing with because I didn't have no positive male role model in my life at the time. And my stepfather was a good man. It's just he did a lot of bad things too, but at the end of the day, he was still a good man. So to combat with that and the issues, I started writing in a journal. And that's how I fell in love with poetry. And then my mother was the type of person, she was really big on education. So for punishments, like she would find like 10 words in a dictionary and she'd be like, here's 10 words. Write the definition. Oh my God. So I'll write the definitions of the words. Then she'd, okay, since you did that, now use these words in a sentence. Are you serious, mama? So I have to write them in a sentence, then write them in a paragraph. So that kind of helped me with my vocabulary a lot. And I used to hate it as a child, but now that I'm older, I'm proud of her, you know, instilling that into me. So like I said, I became a poet because of my mom putting all the words to me and everything. And then I could say I was angry because I felt like my father abandoned me. And it's crazy because doing that ordeal, like I dropped out of high school my junior year. I dropped out of high school. I was like, you know what? I was skipping school so much to the point they kicked me out. Like, well, you don't want to be here, we might as well just go and kick you out. So I dropped out, and I ended up going to Job Corps in Cincinnati, went to Cincinnati Job Corps. And once I got the Job Corps, I started thinking more like, what do I want to do with my life? Because I was like trying to find my identity. So while I was in Job Corps, I was scared to come back to Muskegon because I knew I wanted to do something, but I was scared to be the good kid. So once I left Job Corps, like, I don't want to come back to Muskegon, so I joined the military. I went to the Navy. I'm a Navy veteran. But then I got to the Navy, and I was still chasing my identity. I didn't know who I was. By this time, I was already writing poetry. A lot of people didn't even know I wrote poetry at the time. It was just like a little hidden gift that I kept to myself. So while I was in the Navy, I ended up getting in trouble. So I got kicked out the Navy. Whew, get out of here, you don't belong here. You don't belong here. So I ended up moving back to Muskegon and ended up meeting my kid's mother. So once I met my kid's mother, we started having kids. And once I had my first son, that's when I realized, like, I have to become a better man. I have to become a better product of my environment because I refuse to let my children go through the things that I went through. So I stopped living the street life. I stopped selling drugs and everything, and I just became a better person and start working a 9 to 5 and things of that sort. And I want to say 2009, 2010, I met a young lady named Derica Lewis, and she had a poetry group called WAPS, Word Out Loud Poet Society. And they were doing open mics at a place called Alleyways. It's called Joe Chan's Bistro now. And so one night, I decided to go there and just read a poem, just to get a reaction. And the poem I read, I think I had wrote it when I was like maybe 14 or 15. It was like an old poem. And the reaction was like, oh my God, you're so great, you're talented. And I'm like, y'all like this? Like, y'all would really love what I would like know what I write now. So I joined the group WAPS, started doing poetry, and moving forward, I started doing my own open mics. So I hosted my own open mics at the Hideout Bar and Grill for 5 years. I just stopped doing it as of November this past year. So I did that for 5 years. I was able to do poetry. I did 3 open mics at the Muskegon Museum of Art. I just did one recently. Me and Jim and I just hosted one, what was that, about 3 weeks ago? About 3 weeks ago. And a little bit about myself, and I'm gonna read this quick poem real quick. It's a self-reflection poem. And the title is A Matter of Home Improvement. Realization is the rooftop from which I hurl suggestions at God, in hopes that he pockets some in order to fix me unbreakable. I wonder if the suggestion box is full. Probably is. I bet it's overflowing with potential poems. God seems to be landlord. I have been contracted to self-improve. Seems like some days are lunch breaks, so I'm looking for something that sustains my appetite in the amount of time given. But the truth is hard to swallow, and blueprints are hard to follow. When thou art thy own art, with unsteady hands on the canvas of fault-ridden lands, I am one quake from quitting on the job. Home improvement proves to be a trying task, so I outsource pay in the form of prayers prior to actually seeing results. But this cleaning crew works at odd hours. I have yet to be formally introduced. I thumb through pamphlets of passages, read biblical lines in search of tips for interior design. But it seems that expectation clash with realities. Furnishing, I am unfinished, under construction. Have been for quite some time. Self-induced demolition of dreams, self-deprivation to fit myself into the boxes in the attic. Until I get the urge to spring into spring cleaning. And now I'm back at it. This is a habit I have been trying to break without breaking. Find myself breaking, bending, twisting, just to fit in. To the closet at the end of the hallway, where the light is left on. For heaven's sake, I am hell-bent on fixing this place. Less interested with meaningless decor, more fascinated with painting poems on these walls, burying myself into the paint cracks pretty. Until I fall to pieces, I just hope that somebody sees fit to mold me, into a mosaic reminder of mankind's struggle. I have never liked that word. It sounds ugly. But poets can find beauty in almost anything. And this page is some mirror. I am starting to see the reflection I can finally smile at. Thank you.
You all have been absolutely incredible. The way that we close out every experience with all of you is we do this exercise. So for those of you on the live stream, for those of you who are here, teachers, educators, the people that are doing sound, I want everyone to participate in this. So what I need everybody to do is close their eyes and lower their heads. Everyone close their eyes and lower their heads. Teachers, educators, everyone close your eyes, lower your heads. We're gonna ask you a series of questions. And for every question that you align with, I want you to put up a finger in your lap. So don't put them up in the air. I want you to put these fingers up in your lap. So for the last 3 years, me and my wife battled cancer until 18 months ago when she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I watched her pass. If you are somebody who struggles with grief or loss, I want you to put up one finger in your lap.
If you are someone who's been bullied, put a finger in your lap.
Put up a finger if you ever feel like no one's listening to you or no one really knows you.
Put up a finger if you live in a single-parent home.
I'm also somebody that has been diagnosed with bipolar, anxiety, and depression. If you're somebody who gets lost in the dark spots and feels like it's hard to get out, put up another finger in your lap.
If you've ever had to struggle with your identity, put a finger up.
Put a finger up if you or your family says the phrase, "We can't afford that right now," a lot.
Put a finger up if you're struggling academically in school.
Now what we want you all to do is, if you want to put these hands high, put these fingers high with how many fingers that you've had up. Put them up in the air. Teachers, educators, people in the back, sound people, put these hands high, put these hands high, put these hands high. I think a lot of times we surround ourselves, everyone, put these hands up. How many you got? Put them up, put them up, put them up, put them up. A lot of times we walk through the hallways and we walk by people, right? And we don't realize how many things people around us are going through, right? People that we know, people that we don't know. Sometimes there's people that we talk down to that we get frustrated with, that get on our nerves, and we sometimes don't pause to think, wait, is this person going through what I'm going through? Has this person experienced what I'm experiencing? Also, a lot of times we see people who don't look like us, and we think that they don't have the same lived experience, or sometimes they have different political views or societal views, and we fail to realize that as people, so many of us have the same lived experience, and that's the thing that we need to look for, right? That's the thing that really ties us together. And also, if that's the thing that you're writing about, that's the thing that other people are going to be able to find connection in, right? Is these experiences, the things that connect us and make all of us really unite and see the commonalities in one another. We always like to open things up at the end for questions. So before we get into questions, can you all give a round of applause for yourselves, for your educators, for letting you outside the class today? Hey, skipping class. The way that we always like to close things out is we always like to open things up for questions. We always like to leave like 10 minutes for questions. Also, as you guys are leaving, the people from the library are going to be handing you two things. One, they're going to be giving you all these Diatribe stickers that really fly. Don't put them on the superintendent's car. Don't put them on the principal's car. We've had that happen in some schools, and then we don't get invited back. So, help us
come back.
Don't get banned from Fruitport High School. But also, you're going to be given these pieces of paper that have the information for how you can sign up for this poetry contest. Again, remember, poetry is whatever you want it to be. Please get your story out there. The more students we have register, the more they'll be able to up that money every year. So, show them, hey, we want that bread, and be a part of that.
We don't like money.
But we always want to open things up for questions. So we want to be transparent with you all. I see you have your hand up. What you got for us?
Yes,
ma'am.
Jed hosts the boat.
Come on now.
So when is the next junior night? I'm going to come out and support you. When's the next junior night?
You wanna connect with her afterwards and get her email?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I believe it's
That'd be super dope.
third Sundays, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like we
Thursday.
should be doing like a new edition dance move with these microphones, right? Yeah, it's just a habit. I was just.
Hey. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Oh, you talking to me? So we dated for a year, and then she went off to college, and so it didn't work out. But she's still we're still friends. I actually just performed in my hometown when I went on tour in February, and she came to my show, and I got to meet her husband, and it was a whole great thing.
A
And I
tale
got to
is
tell her, I was
always
like, I hope you know you changed my life. And she was like, I just thought poetry was cool. Like, she's like, that's fine. Like,
a tale as old as time. That's a good one. Does anybody else have any questions? Again, they can be about anything you heard. Yeah, who you got? Ooh! Who wants to answer that one?
I didn't hear it. I'm a little bit.
How do you stay calm when you start panicking or if you fumble a line on stage?
I take a deep breath and I look over people's heads because even though I've been doing this since 2010, I still get nervous. But in my head, I tell myself that I'm only nervous because I care about it. So when I stop caring, I'll quit. But I usually take a deep breath because nobody knows your poem but you unless they've seen every poem you've ever done. So I just take a deep breath and they think it's like this dramatic effect and I'm trying to remember my line.
Yeah, that last part is the major key, right? Is other people don't know your words like you know your words, right? So it's like if you pause, take a deep breath, walk away, reset. That's a huge technique.
yeah, y'all saw me. Y'all saw me do it. Yeah, the deep breath is huge. For me, it's like it's a grounding moment. So like for that moment right there, I got lost because I was like feeling a lot, right? Like I was like feeling this poem maybe off more than I usually do, and so I was like and I just picked up where I could. So there are actually 2 lines I didn't get to say in that poem because I just picked up where I could remember, like where my mind, once I breathed and I got back and I said, all right, we're gonna go here, and this is where the poem is. But it's also like a moment where I always have to tell myself, like on stage, like, oh, we're just people, right? Like, oh, like we're just people, right? Like I messed up, and we all mess up all the time. So I'm like, all right, we're just people, and we're gonna get back to it, right? And we're gonna figure it out together. Yeah. That's what.
That was the question I was going to ask.
Hey, that's the
Like that.
secret. Don't give them the secret sauce.
That's like Krabby Patties.
Get to hear it next time.
One of them was you could lift the weight of oppression by choosing connection, and I dropped that line. It happens.
That's a gem.
It was a good one. I was a little mad. But.
That was a snapping moment.
We have another hand. I always like to go back and forth. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, she said plug them. She said
Yeah.
plug your stuff.
Yes, mine are, my first 2 books are strictly poems. The third book, I kind of wanted to tell people a little bit about myself. So it has like a little backstory and poems, and yes, they are on Amazon. Oh, I got robbed when I first did it and went through a company, and then I got smart and self-published, so now I'm self-publishing. Amazon Amazon Authors Corner. I'm gonna give you my card before I leave, and you can connect with me, and I can definitely show you. It has the templates. It has where you can design your own cover.
Yep.
And with me doing computers, I also do graphic design, so I do design my covers. But it pretty much takes you step by step.
Come on now, go ahead, do you?
I hear you, poet.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys want to talk about where your work is at?
Yeah, you can find my books and my albums on my website, thenegroartist.com. And yeah, I self-published both of my books, mostly because, so my first book is actually kind of a petty thing, which is just that I was applying to grad schools for like, an MFA, a Master's in Fine Arts, and writers' workshops, all that stuff, and I applied, and they said, oh, these poems aren't good enough, so then I published the book, and now I make a living off of those poems, so like, So I self-published that way.
Flexed on him.
Yeah, I was like, and Amazon's the way that I did it as well. It's really easy. It does give you some templates and really helps out. And then of course I had to find my writer's friends to like edit and make sure that the poems themselves were good. But that's how I went through it.
Cool.
What you got?
You got some stuff you want to pull out?
I got social media.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that one to publish a book.
Yeah.
He's like the hard-headed little
Yeah, I'm
brother.
the hard-headed one right now.
He's the hard-headed little brother of the group.
I got like maybe 15 manuscripts. I don't know about publishing though. I like to share, but I'm being lazy.
If you want to,
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna be transparent, be vulnerable. I'm just really being lazy right now, so.
you can look up Fable the Poet on anything. I got a book on Amazon through a small publisher in Texas. I have another book that I've been working on for the last few years that's going to come out through a pretty big name publisher that I'm probably going to debut in the next few months.
Let's go.
And then I have some videos on button poetry. I have some videos on my YouTube. Just look up Fable the Poet.
Oh yeah, my Insta's _Negro artist, so you can find me that way. Bam.
And I'm Gemini the Poet on Instagram, Facebook. It has it in parentheses on Facebook because I went to Facebook jail a lot, so they won't let me change my name no more. Yeah.
Any other questions? They can be about anything. A favorite food. Don't get us talking about the Detroit Lions for too long. I'm not trying to, I'll get lost.
Got one more right here.
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. I feel like, again, cross-promotion is huge. Like, if you start to, again, make communities with artists, like whether it's like, hey, through this contest, right, when they do a reading, it's like getting to know these artists at different schools, right, in different places and sharing each other's work, like making collaborations with artists and creatives so that your network is exposing people to their network and their network to your network. I think on social media, that's one of the easiest ways to be able to do that. And I think, again, now we live in an era with Instagram and TikTok and like all these different social media sites, and I think if you can find inventive ways to put your work in that to where it again doesn't just feel like the work, that's an amazing way to get things out.
I always say the more love you give, the more love you get back, right?
Definitely.
So it's that idea of if you have poets that you follow on Insta, you should be sharing them. You should be making sure that the people, even if you have a small community that is following you, they all know who your favorite poets are, right? Because then your favorite poets are going to go, well, we kind of want to put this person on too, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how that works.
Definitely, I'm with you on that. I share a lot of people's stuff, and honestly, over the last 2-3 months, I've like grew almost 3,000 followers, and it's just from sharing.
Yeah. I'll say take advantage of social media though. Take advantage of it. Just put your work out there. Have faith.
Yep.
I see pink hand in the middle.
Your hand's pink.
Nas and Meek Mills are like, Nicki Minaj. I'm a huge Nicki
You are a
Minaj
huge
fan.
Nicki fan.
They got hype up there. They got hype up there.
I'm that fan that's like, you will not talk about Tanya Onika Mirage. No, you will not. Ebony, that's her government. Yes, I know.
Have you seen the show Swarm yet?
No, I haven't. I don't really get to watch TV. But yeah, Nas has been one of my all-time favorites ever since he rapped in reverse on Rewind. I Fell in Love, and of course Tupac.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Some of my favorite poets are people I work with.
Yeah, definitely.
And my
Okay.
favorite poet in the world is Rudy Francisco, and I had the honor to meet him thanks to my brother Fable a few years ago. Yeah, so, but like, the people I work with, some of my favorite poets.
Yeah. Rudy's one of the people that like I modeled that first love poem after. So Rudy always gets a nod. Like I'm like, I see you, Rudy, out here. I would say the other two that really like that I read often or that I'm like really moved by when I see them. Ebony Stewart is really phenomenal, and Denez Smith. Those are the two that I visit a lot and feel really moved by.
Yeah, I like Javon Johnson. I like Buddy Wakefield. I like Andrea Gibson.
Yes.
Those are some of my
Andrea
favorites
Gibson.
that come to mind. Taylor Molly. Yeah.
Breeze,
Any other? We got time for a couple more.
We got orange right here.
Okay. Okay. In life? Damn! Wow, I almost cursed. That was the question.
Oh, yes. I told you.
Oh, yes, I do.
One of my biggest regrets is getting discharged from the military. The things I know now, I wish I could go back in time and redo it over again. I'll be retired right now. But yes, that's one of my biggest regrets.
One of my biggest regrets, I recently just quit a job to do what I love full time, and I regret not doing it sooner.
I think right now the biggest regret that I'm like grappling with these days is, in a general sense, I just wish that I would have forgiven sooner.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's a heavy question, so I'm gonna give you a heavy answer. 3 years ago, my wife got diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer, and we battled it and thought that we beat it. And then 18 months ago, she got diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I watched her do her best to fight for 18 months until she passed, because the cancer took her life. And over that 18 months, I worked and worked hard. One thing that I say all the time is like there might be better poets in the world than me, but there's not a lot of people who will work harder than me. Like I will outwork anyone all the time. And you know, me and my wife, you know, we split everything. You know, we split the bills, we split everything. So I had to learn how to be the primary breadwinner so that she could not work, right? Because she had to just worry about living and surviving. And I think that I was so worried about providing for her and the people around me that I didn't take a lot of the trips that she wanted to take before she died. So now I'm spending time going on a lot of the trips that we wanted to take together that I didn't prioritize to spread her ashes. And I wish that I would have worked a little less and spent time with her a little more. You saw one more question?
Way back there? Yeah. Trust yourself and keep trying. Writing is a space for play, right? I think often one of the things that made me not want to be a poet originally was like that there are so many rules, there are so many things that I don't, and I have a problem with authority, and so I was like, F all of this. But for me, I think when you allow yourself to play, you get better at knowing your voice, your style, what you actually want to say. And so like allowing yourself moments to just kind of trust your instinct, do what you want, and you might be wrong, and that poem might be terrible, or that short story is garbage, but you wrote it because you were playing, and the next one gets better, right? So that's what I always say.
Speak your truth unapologetically, because you'll be surprised how many people can relate to it. And shameless plug, come to our free summer poetry workshop this summer.
Hey.
We will be releasing the details soon in Muskegon.
Yep, and again, like Gemini said, if you're going to get Diatribe stickers as you leave, if you're somebody who wants to be a part of our summer programming, again, it's free, it's in Muskegon, hit us up via that sticker, and then we'll get you all squared away. This I promise, there's absolutely zero cap in this. So many of you guys are better than I was when I started. Like many of the students I come across are like, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. My stuff, when I started, I was trash. It was so bad. Like I used to think I was sweet too. I was like, man, that's so sweet. It was trash. It was so bad. And so many of y'all are light years ahead of where I was when I started. And like I really want y'all to believe that. And like if there's anything that you want to do, whether it's like you want to be a writer, whether you want to be a streamer, whether you want to be like a professional hunter or fisherman, like I believe that you can literally do whatever it is that you want to do, but you got to be willing to put your all into that, right? Like you got to be able to breathe that. You got to be able to like to want to strive to be the best at it. And if you put that energy into writing, I believe that you'll get it. Cool. Well, thank you all. If you guys can put your hands together for your educators for Muskegon. Area Library for bringing us out, MADL. Again, as you guys are leaving, you guys will all get stickers from these people at the door. You guys will get these handouts about the poetry contest. Please throw your hat in the ring. Not your literal hat, because that's a good hat. You don't want to throw your hat in the ring. But throw your hat in the ring, and we look forward to seeing y'all soon. Thank you again, everybody.